part of the reason why this is so interesting is because the alt landscape that exists currently is so uninteresting, right? This is sort of existing in a backdrop of a sea of uninteresting shit in alts. Yeah. This is like very interesting.
I mean, we mentioned it a little bit on Monday, and if we did and people saw it, they'd be up 3x, I believe, by now here on Wednesday. So not a bad return for 2 days. But I think what is fascinating about it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this point too, is just kind of the idea of where it came from and how it's being run is, I think the sell-off was triggered by a typo in one of the tweets, and people were like, okay, maybe it's human run and it's not really AI run. I don't know how much anything is fully AI run at this current stage of AI right now. But the idea of kind of instead of something be more human run than not, I think Goat out there is maybe the shining first example of what can you do if you actually have these things fully run by AI. And I don't know if that's why you're excited about it too.
So maybe I'll try and this is a strange thing. So it's kind of hard to give the like 60-second explanation of the deal.
Exactly.
It's very strange and very unique. And that's part of the reason why it's so fascinating is because it does not look like anything we have seen previously, but it does look like the future. It feels like that. It feels like I think people use that term like a postcard from the future. And so it's basically like this guy, this like AI researcher guy he created a website where he was taking instances of Claude Opus and having them two instances talk to each other unsupervised in a chat room and then logging these chats. So it's just two Claude Opuses going back and forth with one another, talking about whatever they're going to talk about. And they kind of start talking about, it gets pretty weird back there. The name of this website's Infinite Backrooms. It's kind of eerie, interesting, strange, fantastical. And then he trains in an open source LLM. He like trains it on these backroom chat logs, but then also trains it on like 4chan and Reddit. And then the sort of interface for this LLM that has been trained on this data is this thing called Terminal of Truths, which has an Instagram account. A Twitter account now, and then tweets, and it tweets. Its tweets are supervised, but not written by the dev on this deal, the AI, this AI researcher guy. And so this Terminal of Truths thing is like, this thing starts tweeting, I think back like late spring of this year, something like that. And then it gets Mark Andreessen to give it $50,000 worth of Bitcoin in July. And it starts to tweet about this, like it kind of comes up with this neo-religion thing that it calls the gnosis of Goatsy or Goatsy gnosis, which is based on this like extremely crude meme, which I will not go into detail here. This is like an existing internet meme that's 10 out of 10 crude. People, if they want to understand what it is, can look it up. But this thing kind of comes up with this like neo-religion thing, starts talking about hyperstition and like mimetic, all this blah 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 stuff. Strange, interesting, and because of the way that it was trained, this thing doesn't talk like any other LLM. You've never seen an LLM talk like this before, so it's kind of like jailbroken, like in a way, basically.
Yeah.
And so that in and of itself is like pretty interesting. And so then somebody created a meme coin, ticker GOAT, Goatseus Maximus, that goes along with this like neo-religion that Terminal of Truths is talking about. And then they create this on pump.fun and then give Terminal of Truths like the wallet address for Terminal of Truths. Like they send some of this GOAT meme coin to this thing. And then Terminal of Truth starts to like tweet bullishly about GOAT. So then GOAT starts ripping. So then GOAT gets to like $300 million market cap faster than any pump.fun thing ever. It's like the fastest I think it got to 20,000 holders faster than any meme coin ever. And so as of right now, Goat is truly a meme coin. That was just created by some guy, and then that guy gave it to this AI agent. But because the price ran so much, this AI agent then became a millionaire and is now a millionaire, and maybe now have a net worth of like maybe closer to $2 million now. And so all of this is like starting to get people's wheels turning a lot about the idea of an AI agent garnering economic resources, and then starting to think through like, okay, well then what, right? And none of the then what has happened yet in Goat,
Yeah.
but people are really kind of starting to think, okay, well then what, which is like, you know, part of the reason why this is so interesting is because the alt landscape that exists currently is so uninteresting, right? This is sort of existing in a backdrop of a sea of uninteresting shit in alts.
Yeah.
This is like very interesting, right?
Well, it's because I think what's the most interesting part to you though? Because to me, the most interesting part is the what next, and I think the what next could be what happens when suddenly you arm an AI LLM with $2 million. What will it do with it? I think
Correct.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. If nothing else happens other than like, if there's no now what that comes next, then this is like pretty boring and also probably not that valuable. And it just goes into, it's just another meme coin alongside a lot of other meme coins.
Yeah.
If Terminal of Truths, or there's other, now people are trying to spin up these other things. It's kind of hard to recreate Terminal of Truths actually, because of the way it was trained was very unique. But but if it starts doing things with these economic resources that it's garnered, that to me feels like a new sector. That feels like a DeFi moment, like a play to earn moment. Like a DPIN kind of, like, this feels like a new sector to me. And it's, immediately connected to, the hottest sector on planet Earth right now, right? Yeah. LLMs, AI type of stuff. And it feels inevitable. I think if you talk to any futurist and you're like, hey, what about an AI agent like conducting itself with economic resources? And any futurist would be like, oh yeah, that's definitely going to happen, and here's like some ways that it could happen, and blah blah. Sure. So it's like, that's what I mean by like a postcard from the future kind of thing. So it's very, I think I'm going to write my next monthly about this. I need to kind of gather my thoughts and maybe come up with a list of like the interesting things that could happen. There's even like simple stuff like, you're like, okay, this Terminal of Truths now has a viral Twitter account. Now it has earnings on Twitter. It's going to like take the earnings and like buy back and burn Goat token. Like, just for example.
Yeah,
right.
It'd be pretty easy to imagine a future where that happens. I think the other one too that comes to mind is the idea, and this is perhaps a little bit more in the realm of easily believable, but surprised that it hasn't necessarily happened at scale yet, maybe, is just the idea of like kind of virtual models, eCam models, if you want to call them that. The idea of like, what happens if you could just arm AI to do all that, especially as like video generation happens. But I'm not sure if that necessarily is a positive. I guess it is if you want to take no stance whatsoever from a moral compass perspective. It is what it is. Perhaps a business opportunity is a business opportunity. Will Michaela's one of those AI agents out there right now that's kind of got 3 million followers on Instagram, not a real person. That was kind of like one of the old pieces. But when you compare and connect money and the idea of money generation with AI agents, I think that that's kind of, to me at least, where Goat gets interesting and why it's kind of cool and different, as you said, and why it's captured, I think, so much attention. Now, the question is to you, Travis Kling, is how do you trade it? Because I almost bought on Monday, as we said, as we discussed on the Monday recap show. It was down at like 300 back then. Now we're looking at about 800 million. So it's close to a 3x there in 2 days. Murad's point was that you might see a meme coin hit $1 billion. That's basically upon us now, perhaps. So, but I don't know how you value it. I don't know if that's even possible.
Yeah, I really don't want to make a comment on that. I mean, I would just, maybe wait till it does another big pullback and then think about it. And when it pulls back, try and understand why it pulled back last time, because it made a typo in a tweet, and people were like, "Oh, LLMs can't make typos, so this is like, not a real AI that's like behind these tweets," which I think that turned out to be sort of not the case.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure it's going to do some other big pullback. These things are insanely volatile. So, but I have no sense of the risks around this are enormous and unquantifiable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just you need to be very eyes wide open about that. Yeah, it's more. I mean, I understand people are trying to make money and stuff like that. It's more interesting, sort of directionally, intellectually, as a new kind of use case, a new type of like human coordination tool kind of thing. I mean, there's just a lot of like interesting questions. Like, it's like, is an AI a better leader than a human
Yeah.
in the crypto ecosystem? Like, it's like, is it so hard? You've heard me. I mean, you and I talked about the leadership vacuum in crypto.
For
We've been
sure.
talking about that for a while here, right?
It's like
And
2 years now. Yeah.
and now it's like, I mean, it's quite interesting that you're like, oh, maybe we fill that leadership vacuum with some software code, and
With
like
like
maybe
AI
that's going
agent
to give it.
characters. It's not a bad idea. I mean, like, I think something about it perhaps eventually needs to evolve to be visual. Like I said, I just showed little Michaela because it's like a person that you can see on Instagram, so it feels a little bit more human rather than just kind of like tweets. And maybe that's the next iteration of this. And again, it's not too hard to squint your eyes and see that be the next iteration of this. In fact, there's a few projects right now that are kind of already playing around with like animated characters, but I feel like it looks a little bit different once you shift away from animated characters to kind of human quasi-looking characters. But yes, I think it's very easy to now see where this is heading, and it is fascinating. I would agree with that.